You ready? Steph? Okay. I'd like to call the Verona Borough Council Workshop Meeting to order of August 29th. We're gonna stand and we're gonna do the Pledge of Allegiance. Then we're gonna stay standing for a moment of silence for the tragedies that happened in Plum at the for the Rustic Ridge people, folks.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
And real quick, Mr. President.
Yes.
I did send our condolences to the mayor of Plum Borough, Harry Slagle, on behalf of council and the citizens of Verona,
Thank you.
and he was very grateful.
It's just such a. Anyway, can rehash it all we want. Roll call, please.
Ms. Provenza,
Present.
Mr. Floda.
Here.
Mr. Mayor Recupero.
Here.
President Sushevich.
Present.
Ms. Red Zap.
Present.
Dr. Carpenter.
Present.
Mr. Craig.
Present.
Mr. Long.
Here.
Thank you.
You're good.
Any additional emergency agenda items to add? None? Okay, registered comments from the public. We have Jessica Verone, ARBPA Secretary, Rich Duncan, ARBPA Board Chair, and Mike DeWita, Scenic Pittsburgh Executive Director. If you come to the podium,
Sign this.
sign your name and your address. Yeah, but we've been having problems with, they couldn't figure out how to spell, so we're asking people to sign because the recordings sometimes are,
The recordings kind of go in and out, so you're kind of.
And also, can you turn that mic on, please?
Yeah. And I think you don't need, do you need their addresses?
No.
no,
Okay.
right on, yeah, right there, Jess.
You just push it all the way up.
Is it on? Yes.
Ted? Good.
Hello?
No,
It's on.
yeah.
It's on.
Yes. Okay, great. Well, Jessica Verone, 722 Bruno Street. I know most of you know me, or all of you know me. But I'm here tonight to talk about the Allegheny River Boulevard Preservation Association. I am the secretary of this new organization. I'm joined here, as I think was mentioned, by our board chair, Rick Duncan, along with a couple representatives from Scenic Pittsburgh. We've got their executive director, Senator Mike DeWita, right behind me, and then Allison Rupert, who's back in the audience, director of communications. So some of you are, maybe all of you are already aware of ARBPA, but for those of you who are not, we were formed about a year ago under the vision and leadership of Rick Duncan, to care for a historic asset that's right here in our backyard. We all travel up and down ARB every day. Some of you may have even had family members that had a little picnic outside some of those historic turnout spots along the way. And we can all also see that the parts of this built environment are starting to crumble, along with the natural landscape that was at one time actually very carefully thought out and planted. So we are here coming to Verona Borough today to ask for your support in designating ARB as a PA Scenic Byway. ARB touches on 4 municipalities, as you know. We are going to be going to each of these municipalities and asking for their support. We've already gotten a resolution from Penn Hills, and we'll be going to Oakmont next, and then finally the city of Pittsburgh. So we're hoping that Verona will be able to pass a resolution supporting this at the next business meeting in September. And I did send out a copy of a sample resolution, which you should have, and you can edit that as you see fit. So our group right now is working on building the foundation for our future work. We are working on hopefully having a preservation management plan drafted in the next year. We were secured a $20,000 grant for that and working on fundraising for a match to make that happen. And that plan is going to help us identify lots of opportunities for improvement, prioritize those projects, and hopefully identify some funding as well. And having this historic scenic byway designation will really help us in, seeking some of that grant money, for example, and really help, I think, kickstart some of the big changes that we want to make in the organization. So it's important for me to also highlight that this is not going to put any obligations or restrictions on the borough. I think that might be one of the concerns, but I really see this as a win-win for everyone. So I'm gonna hand it over to Rick Dawkins and say a few things.
Can I just ask one quick
Yes.
question that is killing me? ARB is not ours.
No.
And so we can't
State road.
pass you a resolution on because what you're asking for is a resolution on making it a scenic byway, which I have no problems with. I'm just trying to figure out how that works when, there's certain things in there. If you read the resolution carefully, it kind of makes it sound like we have some requirements in there of taking care of it and stuff. And if it's not our roadway, there's not a lot.
My understanding of that, I'm gonna ask Mike to address all the questions, this is not the specialist here. But I would like to say that,
Oh, Rick,
first of all, I would like.
let's come up
Oh,
to the
okay.
podium.
I would like to, I wanted to introduce myself so everybody knows who I am, because I'm probably going to be back as we move forward through the progress of all our projects and goals. So that you know who I am when I come and try to talk to you. And also, I did want to thank you folks, because you actually gave us a letter of support for that grant ask. And we did win that grant. So
Good.
I wanted to thank you for that. So I'm going to
Congratulations.
turn it over to Mike and let him answer your question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike DeWita, some of you may remember, I used to be semi-important, but
Still important.
Involved, right?
yeah, involved in a lot of things. Anyway, former legislator, former senator, former commissioner, college professor, a lot of things. But the job that I have now is the most fun and important job in many ways I've ever had, because Scenic Pittsburgh is a part of Scenic America, which Lady Bird Johnson started many years ago. Most of you probably weren't around when she was there,
I was.
but she started the idea that beauty was important. And so our theme at Scenic Pittsburgh, and we're not just Pittsburgh, but Scenic Pittsburgh is that beauty is good for business. That's our theme, and it's clearly true. And we do a lot of things. A lot of our battles are with the billboard industry, and I could talk about that forever, but that's not really what we focus on a lot anymore, because we've passed significant billboard legislation, anti-billboard legislation throughout the county, throughout the city, because as people were shocked to find out, you don't get anything from them. I mean, you get
Right.
no tax money, you get no nothing, and it lowers your property value. So are you going to be required to do what anybody tells you? No. I don't, that's not the reading we have of it. As a lawyer, there's no way that you're responsible for anything. In fact, we can't tell you what to do. But this group is interested in trying to get this 4-community road to be improved. And you can do what you want. Scenic Pittsburgh will help you, will advise you, but you have to make the calls. Like, for example, when I was a kid, and I'm gonna be 74 next week, so I've been around. My father got a car, the first car he ever got. We drove out and had a picnic on this road at one of the turnoffs that I noticed are totally
They
unreachable.
closed
now.
them a lot of years ago.
Yeah, well, I'm old. But
Not too far behind you,
yeah, you're trying to catch me.
hopefully.
So what we're asking you to do, and if you want to take words out or you want to do it a different way, that's just a suggestion. But basically, this is just to join in a group of 4 communities, because that's how many there are on this road. That was done in the 30s. So beautifully. And you will decide what the future is, and you'll have to make that call yourself. There's no requirement that all of you do the same thing. We would hope that you would kind of join together. There's some of you have some things that are better than others. For example, you have a business district. Oakmont has a business district, and Penn Hills really doesn't. And the city really doesn't. So you might want something different. What do scenic byways get you? Well, they talked about raising money. Well, that's possible, but governmental money is probably the more important thing. For the first time, and Scenic America made this happen. For the first time in probably 30 years, there's now money at the federal level to get progress done in scenic byways. In other words, you can do things that you decide. You might want to make it a, I don't know, history place, or you might want to make it a shopping place, or you might want to have little things that tell people, hey, this was what happened here in 1922, or, it's up to you. That's not our call. We will help you in any way we can. Now, why did the federal government decide to give money? Well, I'll give you a clue. The new, 2 years ago, the executive director of Scenic America is me. Just when I thought I was getting out, they pulled me back.
As bad as you guys.
And it's so much fun though, because the idea of beauty being an important driver of business wasn't always obvious to people from Pittsburgh. I grew up with steel mills and dark, cloudy days when it was sunny because of the mills. But we now realize that businesses can go anywhere they want. So why do they want to come to Verona? Well, because it's kind of a neat place. And this particular road is unique. There's nothing else like it in the region. Now, do you want to reopen those places so that families can picnic? Well, if you want to, yeah, and we could get some money for you. And I would certainly like to get some of this federal money for my own communities. I will tell you that Scenic Pittsburgh serves 10 county community. So we do a lot of things for a lot of people, and we'll help you. We would come in and help you analyze your zoning as to how it protects your community, if you want. We don't tell anybody what to do, but we've just done Latrobe. You think, well, Latrobe's a pretty nice place, and it is, but they needed some help because nobody deals with this on a regular basis. Maybe every 30 or 40 years, a community will try to do this. So what do we want? We want you to sign a resolution that says you're interested in being part of this group. That's it. And there's only one requirement if you do this. There is one. No new billboards on the, and that's not my, although I think it's a great idea.
Yes.
That's the federal requirement because they want it to be beautiful, and billboards are inherently ugly. And by the way, nobody in the billboard industry wants to put up the old static billboards anyway. They want electronic ones that you can see a mile away.
Would this restrict them?
Yes,
This
for
would
new
restrict
ones.
the,
Yeah, any new ones?
the electronic ones.
Yeah. But nothing else, literally nothing else.
Are you saying this will be put on the historical register?
No, you could though. I'm
But-
just saying that's one of the things that these byways consider is the history of the area. And if you want to emphasize your history, which you have some, then we could do that.
Are you familiar with,
They've already said
It is already.
You'd have to come up to the microphone, please, because the people would,
Oh, can't
can't
hear.
hear.
Okay, it is already determined by the Pennsylvania Historical Museum Commission as a National Register eligible historic district, the entire 6 miles.
Do
All,
you,
all the way from Washington Boulevard to Holton Road.
do you know Christine Davis from Chris?
Oh, I
from-
know, I knew Kristen.
Yeah,
very well.
she's a very well-known archaeologist,
Yes.
throughout United States,
Yes.
and she's right down here in Verona.
She died.
She has passed.
She passed, yeah, she
Her-
passed away.
And
Her daughters
her
have taken
daughter,
over.
Mindy
Right.
LaBelle is
Right.
running the company,
Back in the nineties,
94.
was it 94? She put it on the registry because there's 2 monuments over there that I called PennDOT. And they said they shouldn't even be there because they're too close to the road. They were all over Allegheny County. And so I talked to Christine and she says they can't touch them because it's on the registry. So what is because I raised money to get them both relit and everything, and redone. So, what is the difference between, it's already on the registry to, what you want to put on it?
The National Register of Historic Places is basically a list of significant properties, either archaeological or historical. And when something is deemed eligible, even eligible, not necessarily listed, but eligible for that National Register, it now has, at that point, it has federal protections as to what can happen to it. So for instance, if it's a public property, like Allegheny River Boulevard is, which is, it's a PennDOT roadway, they can't just come in and decide to knock down one of those historic
Right.
structures.
Right.
That is a contributing element to the National Register eligibility of this district. As are a lot of those trees. Those large London plane trees were planted back in 1930, 31, 32, when they designed and built the roadway. Now, you can take down a tree that's dangerous, or you can prune a tree that's got problems, but they can't just go in and decide they're gonna cut all the trees down because they want to.
You mean like the ones in Penn Hills that are leaning this way on the boulevard?
They're leaning that way because of the sun
Sun,
angle.
right, that's
but-
drawing.
Yeah, but they're actually, most of them are very healthy, but you do have to, safety preempts anything else.
Right.
But the National Register eligibility gives it federal protections.
And one of the things on ARB is the granite curbs.
Yes,
And Christina told me there was a company that wanted to
yes.
come in and buy them, dig them up, and they would put new curbs on both
They
sides.
put cement in.
Because
yeah.
because they're worth money.
Sure.
And she told them can't do
You
it.
can't do
but,
that.
Yeah,
That's right.
all right, thank you.
Yep.
I have a question again for clarification about the billboards, you guys. I heard you say you're not gonna allow any new billboards.
New
That
ones.
means either static or electronic.
Correct.
The ones that are already there get to stay there?
Yeah, I wish they wouldn't, but we can't get rid of them.
Well, some are better looking than others. But
None of them are
there's-
better looking, but some of them are less offensive than others, I would say.
Yeah, well, there's one that has rotten wood on it
Yeah,
and
oh, yeah.
stuff. I didn't
Well,
know if you would have the
Would,
ability to,
would Lamar be,
Get rid of
or
them.
whatever one owns it, be allowed to rehab them? They can still rehab them.
They could rehab them, but they won't. Cause the only way, I'm the world expert on Lamar. They're out of Louisiana and they're.
Well, I guess I meant any one of the billboard
Well,
companies.
Lamar has 98% of the billboards in this region. They won't do it unless they can put in an electronic. That's the only thing they make money on now. And so you won't ever see them come in and spend any money on anything
So,
unless they can get that.
so basically what you're saying to us then is for this billboard and we're gonna have to pass an ordinance that says you can no longer put billboards.
No, you don't have to do that.
If a billboard company would come in,
No,
what would we fight against?
it's both state and federal law is that if you become a scenic byway, you can't put new billboards,
Okay,
new ones. The old ones, I wish we could get rid of, but we cannot.
but when they can't exchange a current one from static to electronic
No,
either?
definitely not. They
Okay,
cannot do that.
That's if we sign the resolution.
No, that's the, probably even if you don't,
Oh, okay.
yeah. We're mixing up what's law. What this resolution is very simple. We're not asking you for much of anything. The state and the feds have one requirement, which is billboards. Everything else is gonna be up to you. You're gonna make the call. How we do it. Do we want to open up those little places so that people could picnic? Well, if you want to, I'd like you to, because I remember fondly those days, but you don't have to. Do you want to have something, you know, that advertises in a unique way your businesses? Yeah, you can do that. What it is a pot of money.
I'm still stuck on the fact that it's a state road and we can't, I don't see how we change that road to add those little circles in for the picnics and the stuff like that. And I'm also stuck at the bottom line that says, furthermore, we uphold and maintain the proposed route. Verona Borough is responsible for that, which is not true. The state's responsible.
All right,
for
well,
that.
take that out, because it's not gonna change anything on the road itself, which is not yours.
Right.
Yeah. And I guess I didn't,
I have a question. I'm confused as to what's the difference between the letter of support we've already given you and the resolution?
this resolution is a community resolution that will allow you to opt into the possible getting money from a new state and federal program called the Scenic Byways, which have been funded to a very large number. And so we can get money for you to do the things you desire to do.
And we wouldn't be able to do that without the resolution?
No, we cannot, because you won't be a part of the byways.
Okay, that's,
Gotta be a byway.
No, no.
You gotta be a scenic byway. You can't just be Verona Borough, which is lovely and wants to do this. You can do anything you want with your own money, but this is
I'm just trying.
trying to get you different money.
Could I take a moment? Could I pass out, there's a frequently asked questions handout here that I could pass out. It might help.
Sure.
answer some questions.
Yeah,
That's great.
so, but basically, this is saying in the second to last sentence that we support the nomination to designate it a byway.
It has to go through the state and get nominated,
Mhm.
which we'll take care of.
And we're saying that's cool, and then we don't have to do
Thank you.
anything else if we
No, you don't have to do anything else except pass this resolution, which doesn't require you to do much of anything, but it allows us to get you a pot of money that may be available, and I think will be available because this road is so unique. There isn't any other road in my 10-county region that's quite like this for its history and, you know, all the things that it's done.
Mhm.
Uh,
So, but what would we need the money for?
To do something with it to enhance your community. And I can't tell you what that'll be because it's up to you.
As it has to do with ARB?
The area.
Well,
around ARB.
they can help and we can help, we in Scenic Pittsburgh. But in the end, it's gonna be up to you if it gets done in your community.
You're talking about the area alongside the road, not the. actual
Well, not the road itself, but the
No.
areas.
But that, most of
that
that area that the mayor was referring to with the granite, I think is in Penn Hills.
No,
Yeah.
all of it's been-
Yeah, the
Halfway
whole thing.
behind Dave's building?
Yeah,
No, but
the
I'm
whole-
saying that it's,
So you're- you're
it's
talking-
not in Verona, it's in
you're-
Penn
you're talking
Hills.
about the-
This one.
You're talking about the historic structures and turnouts. One of those is in Pittsburgh and two of them are in Penn Hills, there's not one in Verona.
Okay, that's
When
right.
he mentioned,
Yeah.
when he mentioned the granite curbing, the granite curbing is all the way along the entire length of.
Yeah. But the,
That would probably be like the island over there where those pylons are, you know, maybe we could use the money to beautify that section.
You
Because
can
it's a
do-
scenic,
What we
okay,
Good
will
example.
show you is that there's almost an unlimited number of things you can do. But it'll be what you want to do, not what I want to do.
Okay, and this is the exact same resolution as Penn Hill's already
Yes.
signed, which is
And
why it
this-
says commissioners in there, which we have to change.
Well, they
that.
have commissioners, you're, that's right, you're not
Right.
commissioners.
Right,
I have a couple questions, not about the resolution itself, but about the project in general. Since you guys have been working on this. The turnarounds were closed way before my time, I believe. They put the guardrails up and closed them off. And I was always told they were closed for security reasons because the state police just didn't have the manpower to patrol the turnarounds, and there was a lot of crime and a lot of muggings and stuff happening, so they just closed them off. Given the current state of police and lack of officers. This isn't even in Verona, this would be like.
Yeah, in the
further
penthouse
down.
city.
Do we think that if, cause you guys have been talking to other municipalities, will there be, if in the future they reopen the turnarounds, is there gonna be a plan to make them secure? Cause that was why they were originally closed in the first place.
Yeah.
And I would hate to see a big project happen and a lot of grant money get thrown at it and we open them just to have them closed in 5 years because of crime.
It's a good question. Yes.
So I've had a lot of discussions with various people. One of them is Howard Davidson. I don't know if anybody here knows Howard. He was the head of the director of planning department in Penn Hills. And he was the head of that department at the time that they closed those. I asked him about that. He said, no, a lot of that information is urban legend.
Okay.
The reason that they closed it was that Penn Hills had an agreement with PennDOT that Penn Hills would take care of them. Those, not the one in Pittsburgh, but the two in Penn Hills. And what he said was that they were taking care of them and there were some minor problems, you know, which you can imagine. He said, but it was one particular problem that caused Penn Hills to ask PennDOT to close them off. And that was the dumping of trash. They started having people pulling in there at night with pickup trucks and throwing construction debris and everything else out of the back of the pickup trucks into those areas. And they got so tired of cleaning it up that they finally asked PennDOT just to close it off. It wasn't crime, it wasn't drugs, it wasn't sex, it wasn't any of the things that have been floating around in the urban myth, as much as it was trash, which you can imagine is still going on along areas of all sorts of areas of our state and in our county. And also I'd like to add that part of what we are trying to do is to preserve the things that are currently there, like those structures, which are starting to slowly fall apart because they've been neglected for almost 90 years. And we don't foresee opening those back up right away because we understand from Howard and from Chris Blackwell, who you all might know as well. We talked to Chris about this, and he said, well, there are problems now that didn't exist in 1932 when they were built. When they were built, people didn't drive like they do now, and they didn't have all the cars. There's thousands of cars a day on that roadway, and they all travel about 40 miles an hour over the speed limit. So PennDOT, who would be most concerned about safety, would have a problem opening those back up, not because of crime, but because of the safety issues of having people pull in and out of them.
Yeah.
So there would have to be, apparently, there is a very good study done in 2003. It was a trail feasibility study done by Howard Davidson's group called the Quality Community Project and Friends of the Riverfront. And I would be glad to give a link to anybody that wants it to look at this study. And they were looking at the idea of reopening, but we are really not looking at that right now. Our focus is preservation, so things stop deteriorating, and then improvements. If we ever get to the spot where we can actually have some stone masonry work done and have some of those structures rehabbed so they don't continue to crack and fall apart, we'll probably do that. The idea is not necessarily to open them back up, although we are very hopeful that one day that could happen. For instance, I'll just put it out there. If one day there's actually a bike trail that goes along the right of way of the railroad, which could happen as it keeps happening in other areas. If that happens one day, at least one of those turnouts would actually be approachable from that side. The one that's in Pittsburgh, which is just after you turn off of Washington Boulevard, that actually might be accessible fairly soon because of the purchase of that brilliant bridge. And if they turn that into a walkway, bikeway, it actually might be able to lead down off of that onto the.
That was actually my next question is, have you guys,
We are,
because I know that was another problem, was the railroad changed policies and they took away the throughway, they granted the throughway long time ago. People would pull off into those and they get out and fish.
Right.
And then the railroad put a stop to that. I know they've changed over the years and I'm hoping that maybe they're more open to opening that up into the way again.
we are hopeful,
You guys.
we are hopeful that we can actually develop a good trusting relationship with the railroad. And as a matter of fact, I'm trying to get a meeting with John Ashbridge, their vice president, CEO or COO. And the bent of that meeting on my part is we want to find out what their concerns are, what their vision is, because we don't want our projects, our goals, our actions to run in conflict with that. We want to do things that are amenable to what they see. For instance, I'll just throw it out there, the removal of invasive species, the knotweed, the bittersweet vines, the tree of heaven. That is something that we might have in common with the railroad because they do not like that vegetation either.
Yeah.
So I'll just leave it at that unless you have something else.
No, that's good. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Anybody else have anything?
Thanks for coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your efforts.
Yep, thanks for
commendable.
all the information. Okay, next up is comments from the public. This time, council will hear comments on public related items. Please approach the podium or raise your virtual hand. Clearly state your name and address. Limit your comment to 3 minutes, please.
Hi,
Hi there.
Patty Westmore, my husband Carrie, we live on 518 Bovilles Lane. And I was here once before about repavement of our road. And I got a letter from people who live on the road and people who drive on the road. Begging you, please fix this road. So if you'd like to take a ride down it sometime and just see it. The Oakmont Water Authority was on the road today and the guy said, when they ever gonna fix this road? I said, I'm working on it. Okay. All right, that's all I have to say. Thank you for this. Yes.
Yeah, can you sign the paper? No, the paper.
The
on
paper on the
Sign the
podium.
paper. I'm gonna give us this.
Patty,
Thank you.
Patty, has any patching or anything happened this year?
Is any, what, I'm sorry?
Any patching?
No, nothing. And in the past, when they have, they'll patch this little hole and leave this gigantic sinkhole. It's like,
The big 3 inches of asphalt to get to our gas line. Yes.
we have gas leak up there, so they
Oh,
had to
jeez.
do a lot of work.
Well, I know that,
They just covered it over.
I know that it's not on the list for this year, because the list for this year was done last year.
Yes, I understand. but-
And it's on our radar, it's on the borough engineer's radar. I mean, it's not forgotten.
No, we just really wanted to make sure,
There's a list of the roadways, if you wanna look at it or stop down and look at it. We have the roads rated as to, it's just, we understand the concerns,
and he's not very,
understandable.
and I'm not very good at health wise, like dodging bubbles.
Yeah, and I can tell you, just so everybody understands, we figured out what it would cost to do every red road in Verona. It would cost over $1 million. So we're gonna have to like pick and choose each year how we go at it.
About 3 years ago, when he's still able to, we actually filled him ourselves. And he's great with stuff and filling.
Yeah, do it now.
No,
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
at the end of Vogel's, there's stairs that go down to where the
school.
school is. Do you notice kids or anybody using that as a thoroughfare.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people use those steps. Don't know what they're using them for, but they are using them.
Yeah.
Everyone was gonna like them.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Nobody virtual? Thank you. See you, Gary, Patty.
Bye-bye.
Okay, no other comments from the public? We'll go to the advisory boards and commissions. I want to announce that prior to this meeting, we had an exec session on personnel. At this time, I'd like to have a motion to approval of the minutes for June 27th and July 11th.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Long, second by Dr. Carpenter. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. We have, I want to discuss this real quick, just bring it up. We have an ordinance on food trucks. Everybody got the copy of the ordinance. I don't know if we're following the ordinance like we should be. But I'm noticing more food trucks every day you turn around. And, you know, I just think we need to discuss it or bring it up about the ordinance. Because there is an application fee and there's a lot of things that have to be done that I don't think are being done by the food trucks themselves.
And the problem with that is there is no fee.
I thought at one time we did have a fee.
Reviewed all the fee schedules that were just passed. We're gonna have to go back through and make a fee. But you have to understand, if you read your ordinance very, very carefully, from 7 AM. Well, at 6 AM actually, till 11 PM. There could be a food truck on the road. You can't do anything about it,
Because we have an ordinance.
because that's what the
Right.
ordinance says.
There's a lot of stipulations to where and what and how and
Yeah,
when.
but it still can be on the road for over. What, 15 hours, 15 hours a day,
Yeah.
I'm really tired. But so I just wanted to make sure people understood that too. I mean, I don't see any problem with it going back, redoing our fee schedule. And
Right.
starting January 1.
Well, I don't think we ever had a.
I thought we
Yeah,
did.
Yeah,
We
we
did.
passed it in December of 2021. Right,
December
Trish?
2021,
Right.
right here.
When is this ordinance from?
This is from 2018. I mean, the date up there says July 25th, 2023. I'm not quite sure.
That's the print date.
It was there, I printed it.
Oh,
I don't think.
no, it was done in 2018 because it was I believe, it was one of the ordinances I worked on in that year, my first year.
I think at that time I had brought up, because I know Sharpsburg, when I talked to the mayor over there, Matt, he's now a magistrate. He says usually they don't charge a fee because you're gonna scare them all away. You know, nobody's gonna come.
Well, not only that, there is a form somewhere.
Well, I could see having
Do we have the permit?
Yeah.
to have a permit.
There's
and
no
an
permit.
up-to-date
Yeah,
in an up-to-date, from the county, you know, health department, that you can, you know, sell out of the truck.
well, it's all, a
I
lot of
think-
that stuff is in here about.
I reviewed, I went back and looked at Pittsburgh, I looked at, I mean, you could do it, I mean, my theory and my place, if we're gonna have to collect the permits and do all this, I want money out of the deal. Because we're gonna be the ones that are doing the work, because we're gonna have to make sure they're up to date, we're gonna be sending the cops
Right.
out when they don't have it. And we're actually gonna be losing money on.
That's why I think we need to look into this in one of the committees.
Yeah, and so I would actually like to ask Red's committee if we can go through this fee schedule. Basically on the food trucks, the parks and stuff like that, because there's supposed to be fees associated with stuff. That there's no fees, and Teresa and I have tried to find, so if we could do that, would be great. I probably could even get Teresa to come to your meeting and she'll tell you everything that needs, it doesn't have a fee that says there is a fee.
So this would include any event that goes on in the borough, like the park cruise, like the Botany and Booze. Anytime that they have any type of food, that, you know, coming into
It would depend on how you wanna look at it.
Well, what I'm reading in section 139-4, part A. It implies, from what I can tell, is that such application shall be made annually.
Yeah.
So my impression is whatever fee we would want to have, which I wouldn't necessarily think is a good idea, but it would be an annual fee. So if a,
But he even
If
says in there scheduled fees.
yeah. But, what I was gonna say was that. No.
I will tell you, Pittsburgh, we did look through Pittsburgh's ordinance, they have the almost the same exact ordinance, so I'm not saying this is a good idea, but they charge $135 a year. I mean.
It's not the business, it's the food truck, not the businesses that get the food truck, it's the actual food truckers. We have to know that the food trucks are compliant with.
The health department and everything like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure,
state
yeah,
health department.
yeah.
We have to know.
So having a permit is one thing, charging the
I
money
understand,
is
but there are
something
people
else.
that will bring people back to town that
Take your time to put policing on it itself, to your point.
Yeah,
Somebody
and
can
that's-
This, here's an annual, certificate, or whatever it is, make sure people are on it, so it falls on a lot of work.
Yeah, and it will fall in a lot of work, I mean, and that there is the theory in life, you guys keep that on, there, that, you say. We've done it this way for so long, I'm not saying yes or no, what I'm saying is, a food truck came to town and it changed everybody's view a little bit, and now we're just trying to figure it out. So we have,
We're not trying to push anybody out.
we're not trying to push anybody.
We just
out
want to
or
make sure
push
everything's
anybody
done
in.
right.
We're just trying to figure out what the rules are. I do realize though, after reading the rules, he could literally be on the street from 6 AM to 11
Yeah,
PM.
there's
so-
definitely no-
You have to get the permit, but I think it's still not being followed out there now.
No, we worked, we fixed that problem too. We found a workaround for that one too, but no, and we're just trying to figure this out. I think we take it to committee, we look at it.
Mr. Craig, we can come back with something. One of your meetings.
I understand what the mayor said also, like if we charge for food trucks, it could scare a lot of them away, but us as Verona, we have to also pay mine to protect our brick and mortar restaurants. Cause I know if I owned a brick and mortar restaurant that just sold food and some food truck from Pittsburgh found out that you can park on the street from 6 to 11 and parked in front of my restaurant every day for 6 days, I would be
As an
looking for
example,
places
we
to
have
move my
Pittsburgh
business.
Pie over here.
So.
What's to stop a Thai truck from parking in front of him?
Well, that's in the city of Pittsburgh.
That's in the
Right,
city,
so-
it's not ours.
It's like a Thai restaurant, you can't have a Thai truck,
Right.
pizza restaurant.
Yeah, and it says in the Pittsburgh ordinance, if I'm not mistaken, something of the fact that no matter, you should try not to park near any.
Right.
restaurants.
Brick and mortar, yeah. Unless a brick and mortar invites you. You know?
Yeah, sure enough.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, I just think, we need to look at it, I mean, I'm not.
And I agree with Stephanie that if it would become an issue that there's a lot of paperwork and a lot of applications, there should be some type of fee from somewhere
Mhm.
to cover our costs.
It doesn't
It has to be minimal.
Yeah.
It's something to make
Yeah.
sure people $150.
I'm
Yes.
not asking. for
I know that.
Pittsburgh. I mean, I'm just asking.
We're just trying to bring it up to,
Yeah, let's figure out, let's work together, let's work with the people who do have the food trucks, let's look at and try to figure this out to the best of our ability.
I think the whole thing is to try to keep the food trucks that aren't being brought in by businesses out of town.
right.
But you
Because we
can't,
just don't want them parking on the street.
we'd have to rewrite the ordinance,
I'm just saying.
my argument to you is then you're getting into a whole new slippery slope of doing that. Especially since you have written to your ordinance, you can bring a food truck onto your private property.
Just leave it on the property.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
Do whatever you want on
but
it.
what I'm saying is you could put them almost anywhere.
Yeah.
So if you had a friend who owned a food truck and you wanted to, you could put it in front of their house and say. I mean, I'm not saying it's gonna work, I'm just saying these are some of the things, And there are certain things they're gonna say, they're gonna come back at us and say, well, we have their permission.
Right.
So I just want all of that to be thought about as. we-
So if
Well,
Mr.
so-
Craig's committee can look in that, we'll,
So if we decided we wanted to have a nominal annual fee, then let's say a particular food truck ABC. Paid their annual fee, but then decided, that they went up to acclamation, even though they don't have to pay the fee for up there, but they went to the farmer's market. They would still be covered
They're covered
under
for-
their one permit
In
with their
Verona.
one fee
Right.
for the entire year from
Where-
January to December. So they could come 100 times and it would still
Yeah,
cover.
and we would
And actually, I
potentially,
think we could actually write an ordinance that even if they went to acclamation, because the way this reads, a food truck in the borough of Verona. It doesn't say on a borough street, it says in the borough of
yeah,
Verona.
it has to say on Borough Street, because. If people own their yard, they own their yard. So they can have a bounce house in it if they want, they can have a food truck in it if they want, if they have. I have a driveway at my house.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let anybody tell me I can't park a certain vehicle in a driveway that I'm paying taxes for.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
I want to call the SACs to do that. and
Yeah.
take the trucks to call the SACs.
Yeah.
Because they make more money in a neighborhood in less hours than they do in front of.
Yeah,
our
we-
business for sure.
We have that in
Yeah.
our neighborhood, our cul-de-sac has them every Thursday.
Adult ice cream guys.
My concern is there's 55 breweries in Allegheny County, you know, and so for them to just come to our place and to the brewery, it's a way smaller municipality compared to where they go is very, very challenging.
Okay.
The biggest part of it, believe it or not, for their business is a food truck. So when I have a food truck that comes twice or 3 times a month, giving them, just thinking about how often they come to me, then they go to acclamation, then they come to the farmer's market. The fee, a one-time fee might be a way better way to go, and we're one of.
can you please, if you're gonna talk, come up to the thing, because there's people that, we're getting reports that people can't hear you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. So, and I'm Kelly Melly and, in a group, so, yeah, 751 East Fairwood Avenue. I do the food trucks and I was saying there's 55 breweries or more in Allegheny County alone. So I'm losing food trucks to the bigger breweries for sure, bigger municipalities. Because it's not just breweries that get the food. There's times when our food trucks make more money than we do. And there's also times on a Sunday where a food truck only makes $60. So a fee for them could be a lot of money if it's often. Also, if they come to us 3 times a month and they go to acclamation, then they go to the farmer's market, then they go to an event here. If we do it annually, it would be easier, but we will be one of the only boroughs that has an annual fee. So I will be up against trucks that say, well, then I just won't come. I'll just go to Sharpsburg, or I'll just go to, any of the other little boroughs that do not have a fee. So we just have to keep that in mind
I
when
guess
doing it.
as the borough manager, can I
Yeah,
ask? If
sure.
we made the ordinance, so basically the burden laid on you, and I'd have to ask, I don't even know. if
That would
it's-
be over like $7,000-8,000 a year.
No.
Oh, I thought you meant this.
Collect all the information on all your food trucks.
I have a calendar that shows you every single truck that comes. All next year's already done. I do them in October, by
You check
October.
their licenses and
I
stuff?
do. Every single one is registered
See,
by
that's what
Allegheny
I'm
County.
thinking, if
Yes.
maybe if we're not put into the position to have to do that, maybe we can rewrite the ordinance that says, if it's in front of your,
I just have to have registered with Allegheny County. I don't have them registered with Verona.
No, you just,
Yes.
I would just would like to have them register, just knowing they're registered with Allegheny.
Yes,
County.
they have to. So they have to register with Allegheny County, which gives them, they have to give their license number and 2 photos of the truck so that they know that that truck is an insurance. So we make sure I don't have any trucks that will come to our place that is not registered with Allegheny County.
And I would even, at this point, like I said, I would even take a copy of the license, just so we could have it on file.
I can certainly have them send them in.
Well,
Yeah.
they could also just fill out whatever form we come up with.
And have
And-
the license
and
on there.
Put, or photocopy the license or put the license number,
I mean, I
whatever,
don't,
and And their insurance, a
And we would
copy
just
of their
have a
insurance or
running list.
whatever.
Yeah, we would-
That helps, but
Yeah.
if there's something that it's at the farmer's
Yeah.
market that we don't work with,
Wait,
which has happened,
Right.
yeah.
You know, we're just talking about like,
Yeah.
you know,
I'm just talking about the
Right,
whole, but
right.
I guess why I'm asking you is because you're the experts.
Right.
Yeah.
I-
The uniform is making
Unfortunately,
it as easy as
unfortunately.
possible.
As easy-
Yeah.
I wanted to, I don't wanna inhibit anything, I just wanna make it,
Right,
so.
and you'll always know, on our calendar, it shows every single food
Yeah.
truck that's coming, all the way up until now, I'm into almost all next year. So you won't see a random truck that's not on our date showing up in this borough,
Okay,
for us,
for you.
for us. Unless someone cancels, but then I switch it on the calendar.
I agree with what Stephanie's saying also, that if we put some of the burden on business owners to at least get the information, the name of the business, the license, just make sure that everything checks out. That could potentially lower the annual fee, because honestly, all we want to do is, I'm not speaking for everyone, all I'm looking at is recouping administrative costs.
right,
To make sure that everything's legal.
Right,
And that,
right.
if you guys do most of the legwork, or the business owners do most of the legwork, that would lower administration costs, so it
So-
would lower
Yeah.
the fee.
So, but what I can do is ask them to submit it.
Yeah, right.
That would be.
email it
completely
to
fine with me.
Stephanie.
Yeah, I mean, and then all we would do is just keep a running list, that way we know we have.
Well,
it.
not only a running list, do like you do with the parking permits, you know, have something that they have to put from the borough of Verona in their windshield, so when the police ride by, they
know
can see that
Have their fee
they
paid for
have,
the year.
you know, everything in line,
We
something
can-
real
I
simple.
can ask them to do that. I'm
I
not
can-
sure
Right.
I can.
I can give them, I've got to do an Excel spreadsheet. I mean, 99.9% of the time, well, let's be honest,
Well, let's have Red Craig's,
yeah,
committee look into it and we can go from there.
okay.
I just want one other comment, just like a day like today is a good example of Cousins Lobster. There's a lot of people over there. They're not having an interview
At all.
here.
Yeah.
But they have a soda, they sit at our place and they enjoy a good food truck, right?
Right.
So one of the things when we opened here was we were told there weren't enough restaurants. So I think having the food trucks there does add value for.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think.
this discussion isn't to get rid of food trucks.
Yeah, it is separate for business for sure.
No, no, it's.
Because food truck is a very bleak thing.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
okay, everybody good with that? Next up is Mayor.
Two real quick things. Just an update on emergency management. I know we touched a little bit on that yesterday at a meeting that Trish had. Do you want to elaborate on that?
We are currently looking for someone to hire, let me take that back. We're looking for somebody who can help us create this manual and help create us when there's issues. For example, Harmer, Springdale and Cheswick have one emergency management coordinator. They each pay them so much to go through all the trainings and to get everything and get the plans together, train the deputies, which would be like staff, and then go from there. So we are looking with Oakmont to see if we can find one. We're waiting for a few calls back. It's not a big job that people want to do. I think it's the 8 hours of meetings all the time and stuff.
It's a disaster.
And the disaster part, and the fact that you get blamed for everything with the disaster.
The thing with a disaster, everybody pitches in, fire, police, council, and that's not a big deal as far as managing things. It's the meetings that, I used to go to every one of them. They were in the evening. Now they're either on Zoom or they're 9:30 to 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, but you work. I can't go. But, okay, thank you.
We're working on that.
And the other thing I have is too, I have EMS, I meant to say emergency medical services, but I should have put Lower Valley updated with the ambulance service.
We are waiting for another contract to come. A decision will have to be made by this board, probably in the exec session in the next few months. So
As
we-
people have been asking, you know, where we
As
stand.
of right now, and I'll say this. Again, we have an ambulance service. We're not going to have an ambulance service. We're just we are putting all our ducks in a row to make sure we are getting the best services we can provide.
Best bang for our buck.
Best bang for our buck, because it is gonna cost us money. It's
Right.
not, it's no longer going to be a free service.
And like I said, people have been asking, not a whole lot, but just like to get an update,
Yeah.
publicly for the people.
Yeah.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Next up is the Borough Manager, Stephanie.
Okay, hold on. I have to share my screen. That needs to be- It's in my way. Okay, I had promised, that I would give a review of where we currently stand as a borough as of today, as we look forward to getting to budgeting season and all of that good stuff. So we have some ideas. So I'm just gonna go through this. This is basically what I'm gonna go over. Nancy, move your mouth. Okay, thank you. An overview of the current revenues as of July. An overview of the current expenses as of July. Major income and expenses from August to December. An ARPA overview, and I should say sewer fund instead of Sue fund, rebate it. And-
Sewing.
So Anita Lynn.
So what you can see is, and it's really tiny, and I will post this online so you guys can blow it up to look at it better. Is currently. We are 79% of our budget that we budgeted for 2023. Sorry, our biggest things that, our real estate taxes are coming in. Our, local income tax, our business permits, rent. Some of the things we're a little lower on is like intergovernmental revenue, our state share revenue. Those are all grant dollars. A lot of those grant dollars are gonna be coming in towards the end of this year instead of, at the beginning. And one thing in there you will see is contributions and donations. You will see it 706% above budget. That was the donation for the police body cams. As those move through, they'll go through, they may change, the auditors may change where they place that, but for now, because it was a donation from the Chiefs Association, that's where it sits in our budget. Our expenses are 45% of where we were budgeted to be. There's really nothing horribly out of whack on here. I didn't know if council had gone through, had any questions on any of this stuff. But most of the expenses, like I said, we're at 45%. And some things will balance back out. Planning and zoning, that's a guessing game every time, because you never know how many zoning requests you're gonna get.
Can I ask a question about the revenues?
Yes.
If you could go back,
Oh, correct. How do I go back?
I don't know.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, previous.
What is it that you?
Okay, question.
B.
That's Peter.
On rents and royalties, that's not where our regulated rental
No,
fees
that
show
would
up?
be for people, the movies and stuff like that.
Where does the regulated rental show?
Regulated rentals goes up to, business licenses and permits,
Okay,
because we're in there, the business. We consider the people who rent their property to be quote unquote businesses. They have operating licenses, all that kind of stuff.
so if we didn't get that huge influx for the body cameras, the 79% would be a different number. Am I reading that
17,
right?
No. I mean, we would still be pretty close. We'd be at like maybe 75%, but not much different. I mean, you're looking at, we have 95% of our real estate taxes in. 70% of our local taxes. So we have quite a bit up, you know, coming in. But so that's pretty close. That 17,000 isn't enough of an influx when you're talking about $1.3 million. Yeah, don't let that's just a statistical anomaly.
Okay,
Yeah, you're at, we budgeted to be at 1.661. We are currently at 1.316. Okay, any other questions?
thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions on expenditure? Okay. So the financial position of the borough, no, not everybody like to speak out or anything. At the end of December 2022, as audited, the general fund had $457,000 in it. The 2023 revenues, as I said, is 1.3. The expenditures are 795, which takes our fund balance up to $977,000. That's a pretty number. It's not going to stay there. But that's where it is right now. Like I said, we have some major expenses coming. There will be money coming in with these expenses, but there'll be money going out and there'll be not much coming back in as of, you know, because again, a major portion of our revenue comes in at the beginning. So upcoming major projects. There's the Center Avenue Storm Sewer. The total cost of that project is $63,000. The cost to the borough is $16,152. The rest will be paid with grant dollars. The alley reconstruction that's coming up is the total cost of that project is $173,000. We will be responsible for $33,800 of that. The rest will be covered in grants. Center Avenue repaving is $96,250. Yes, it looks like it came in under budget. It probably won't because it's pretty close to being at that 100,000, but that grant is completely covered. So we have no money. And then the last thing, if you haven't seen it yet, it's really, really cool. We have a new truck for DPW. It's an F600. It's got a leaf back, a new snowplow. The total cost of that was $192,000. Borough funds we paid for $34,255 of it. A grant gave us $158,000 of it. Any question on those?
And we got cheaper because it's yellow.
Yeah, and we got it cheaper because it was pre-made.
Yes.
Somebody didn't want it. I was like, I'll take yellow. I mean, it has a stainless steel instead of aluminum bed, so it's pretty nice. ARPA projects. Oops, sorry. This, you just say, keep getting on my mind. ARPA projects.
Oh, hey, okay.
The pages get messed up.
No, we don't have them.
Share Trish's on Sharon Tim's.
Oh, okay.
So
It's all right.
I agree.
We'll get them later.
I got the screen. We all got it in an email.
you all got it in an email, so. The cost so far, what we spend or what we plan to spend for ARPA is up above. We received a computer program called iWorks in the administrative offices to help with regulated rentals. Second Street paving is going to cost us $136,315, and just so everybody knows, that is actually going to begin in early September. So it is coming, and then we have $19,680 that we spent to complete the Wildwood culvert, which takes us to $159,000 spent so far out of ARPA. The sewer fund, amount owed at the end of 2022 was a little over $506,000. So far, we've written off almost $25,000 worth of expenses. It's down to 481,362. So what are our next steps?
I just want to make a comment on that for the public, that that's money we owe ourselves.
That's money you owe
It's
yourself.
not a debt.
That is not,
Side debt.
we don't consider, after speaking with the auditors, I learned way more about it. So, but yes, so we owe it to ourselves. We are paying ourselves back. So the next steps are, to complete year-end estimates. This is for me. What would next happen is a rough draft budget for the finance committee on September 25th. Which means before that, I would like committee requests by Tuesday, September 26th. Trish, you had talked about the Blue Dot project. I would rather do that as a survey, as a Google survey. Gives it to more people, more options. So if you could help me work that out, you and I can work that out. And then, so in October of 2023, that's when the major budget process will start. We'll be working on the general fund, the sewer fund, liquid fuels, capital budget. We'll be reviewing grants that we applied for 2024 and what we're going to do with the next amount of the ARPA funds, which is a smaller amount. The hope is by October 31st, the budget would be given to council for review. We would choose a budget meeting date for the public. November 7th would be changes and revisions. Then we'd have the public budget meeting. November 28th would be the workshop meeting with the hopes of getting the budget advertised for its 10 days show in public view. And then on December 12th, the budget would be voted on by council. But this, I mean, these are just, if everything goes 100%, but so that's where we're at. Do you have
Very nice.
questions?
This looks really good, thank you.
And I'm sorry if you got a screwed up one. The copier did not like.
We'll figure it out later.
Teresa's on vacation, so, you know, I'm lost. So that's it. If you have any other questions, but yes, I think, instead of doing Blue Dots, I think a survey might be the way to go this year. It gives everybody a chance. We'll even have paper copies in the office if people would want to come and fill them out, and we can go from there.
And you're going to post this whole presentation on the website? Okay, great.
But yeah,
Thank you, Stephanie.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
But I know I'm not.
Yes.
Bid overview.
Bid overview, you have two bids attached that Matt sent. These were opened on August 15th. The one is, for the alleyways, just so everybody knows. That includes Peach between 3rd and 4th, including dead end section to Wood Street. Oak Alley between Parker Street and North Avenue. Sylvan Way, the small section from James and to Children's Center, but we did get another grant that will pave the next block of that. That hasn't come through yet. And then Walnut. So that came in. So it will cost the borough, I told you what it would cost the borough, now I can't remember.
30,000.
30,800.
The other item that came in was, the bid, Center Avenue, as you know, the storm sewer is being redone. To fix the runoff and the icing. This is the bid, that was open on August 15th for Nagy Construction and Asphalt Paving. To pave that part of the street once it's completed. Both of these are part of the, I think they're CDBG monies. And Matt wrote the bids and opened all the bids and told me which ones I was supposed to tell you. The story walk placement, like I said, I told you I wanted an answer to give to the library. So I'm holding all of us to that. Trish and I worked on a survey. We got 21 responses. And if I can read right, and I can figure this graph out right, Railroad Park would be the ultimate placement.
Yep.
So if anybody has any problems with me calling the library, that please let me know.
Railroad Park would be this park, just for so everybody
Right,
knows.
But we need to figure out where in the park, right?
Well, let's see how many boards it would be. And we can figure it out from there. I think we're just looking for a general area to figure out where to put it. And then I'm thinking, the walkable part, something that's kind of.
Yeah, we just have to be mindful because that's where BOV is proposing. to
Yeah,
build.
we would
Can't
watch.
Put anything up that they would have to take out.
Yeah, we would watch where it goes. DPW truck, again, I said the new truck arrived, it's pretty, it's yellow, you can't miss it. We will need to complete signage on it, I am not sure who we have do that kind of signage.
Rich Bonniger, Cyclops,
Okay.
Studio, he's done, police cars and borough trucks.
Okay, and
And what is it gonna say and what color is it gonna be?
that was my next question,
Oh.
we want it to be the logo. Since,
You already have it on now, the trucks.
yeah, the logo, it'll be yellow and purple, I mean, it's a little plummy, but not that plummy.
Purple and yellow is Ron's colors.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
okay, so I will have them, that's what I was figuring, because I figured that would look really, really nice on the bright yellow truck.
Because you're from Plum and the Plum has,
I know, I'm from Plum and,
no, that would look nice, like the purple and gold.
yeah, with the
Yeah.
round, so I
Yeah.
will see what that will cost.
Plums, gold.
I know there will,
Shiny.
I'll call him tomorrow to have him stop done.
but that'd be perfect, and thank you, I know, my son just came home with more gold stuff, and I know what to do with it. My son's a freshman at Plum. The old truck, DPW and I have talked, we'd like to sell the 2012 Ford F-550, that's the big dump that this one just replaced. We are currently in the process of getting all the information together so that we can place it on municipal bid.
So we only have one dump now?
We
Right?
have,
We have the pickup truck,
Oh, we put a the V box on there.
yeah,
so
Okay,
that's the one they use that one a lot, like when they're just running around, 'cause it's smaller of the vehicles. They said they don't need two dumps,
okay.
so I will.
Which one's, I mean, is that the one they want to keep's the better one?
The one they want to keep is the newer one and the better one.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually went through and looked.
Okay,
I did that before they told me which one.
Do they have an idea of what it would be worth?
We have no idea. I'll be able to, once you get on municipal bid, you can kind of see where things are falling.
I mean,
you seen how that big truck sold?
it's a guesstimate anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
we got twice as much.
Yeah, we were off by like $20,000.
trucks are going for big dollars
Yeah,
now.
Yeah.
and my theory like
Big
this,
dollars.
if it pays off, I mean, the Peterbilt was meant to pay off our part of the grant. But if the truck also helps to do that.
Sure.
Maybe we can write another grant for something else.
You don't want to just give it away,
No.
right?
No.
But I think we can probably get more than we think, because the same thing, the trouble we had finding a truck.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Somebody that needs a truck desperately,
Right.
will be happy to take
Well, that
that.
Peterbilt sold for almost $80,000.
Yeah.
We were estimating 60.
37?
Yeah, 40.
Next, since we are approaching the new year, I'm hoping to revamp some of these council committees with the help of the council. It seems the committees have names that don't fit their duties. We have others that are repetitive, and some that just need a little updated. I want to know if this is something that council would be interested in doing, and if so, ideas, and how would you like me to proceed?
Well, we're just gonna have to come up with some ideas and put our heads together.
If you guys have any ideas, please send them to me. I'm doing some research right now. But we're just finding that some of the committees aren't aligning the way we
We
thought.
were talking about that too. Maybe we can get together.
Yeah, well, I think we've all
Yeah.
talked about it.
Yeah.
I think we're all kind of in agreement. There are
Room for
like three
improvements, yeah.
committees that can't change.
Right,
And then there's three committees that
Right.
need to be.
Oh, like
Yeah.
Stephanie said, maybe,
Adjusted.
like Stephanie said, maybe we can all just send a letter or our info to her and sit down you can't sit down with too many people.
Go back to the
Yeah, some can be combined, I mean, no defense to Red, but like, your committee, Parks and Rec, you kind of get stuck in there, like in a weird way, so I just,
So my committee gets stumped everything, it doesn't go anywhere.
You're out of here.
and, so so I just wanted to let you know. I am just reminding everybody, because it's already started, you cannot put signs on borough property. This includes the tree beds that are in the sidewalk. No sign,
Do we have a policy?
yes,
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 Yes.
we do.
we actually have a form that you have to fill out to get approved by council to put any sign on any borough property. And I actually had to, PISA donated their use of their facility to.
You came to
a
council about it.
nonprofit, and it was under a stipulation that they would donate it if we could put some signs up, and I had to actually come to council and present that to them and tell them it would help our nonprofit out greatly if we could do this, because they would donate like $2,000 worth of it. And I had to still fill out the permit and get it approved by council, and that was for a summer youth camp. So I agree that the summer youth camp is different than personal business advertising or political candidates advertising on borough property.
I mean, such rules state signs advertising goods or services which political signs are not sold or produced on that premises containing the sign shall be prohibited. No sign shall be closer to, it has to be by your property line and cannot be, it has to stay at least 10 feet from the, street. Temporary signs in public interest may be approved by the zoning officer. But really what I'm just trying to cut is, and I would like to be able to instruct DPW that if they start going up, that we start pulling down.
Agreed.
Put them put them back
We'll
in
put
our
'em in
building.
the office, you can come and get them, but
I mean, with all the high winds we've had this year, they just stand up.
you know, the
It's so much yard
only,
anyways.
the only thing that should be in those tree beds are the no parking signs. And those are ours, and we do that so people can see them. In the parks, you don't want political signs in the parks. I mean, I'm not as anal about church things and
Well,
stuff like
we've
that.
always, no political signs on borough property at all.
Right.
And yet there's a ton of them.
Yeah, we've not enforced that in
And
many
we would,
years.
we're starting to have problems with people like sticking things wherever it seems to be hitting them, and when we're saying no, getting screamed at. So we're just reiterating it right now, explaining it to people. We just, and from what I was told by a business on the ARB, they know that, they just sometimes just see if they get away. So we're just trying to make it fair for everybody. And I'm not as picky about like church bazaar things and
Right.
stuff like that. I don't want those at tree lawns and with trees, but I don't mind them on borough property if it's not.
And honestly, political signs. People are door knocking around campaign season anyway, you're talking to private property owners, that's where those signs should go.
And that's my big thing, and trying to keep them out of the flower beds and the tree beds. So, okay, I will make sure DPW knows if you lose a sign, you know where to come.
There should be a limited time limit on it too, 5 days or whatever, 24, you don't wanna get stuck with them, then we end up throwing them out anyways.
Last but not least, the fencing at Riverbank Park, there is this weird wood fencing, and it's not very long. But it's there, I'm not sure why it's there, I'm not sure what it's fencing in.
Right.
But DPW is having issues getting that, they can't replace that anymore, it's breaking. They
There's a
can't
couple
replace
that broke down there now.
Near the river where the chain link ends.
it.
No,
No,
it's
right on Arch.
split rail fence.
It's right on Arch.
No, cause there's a section of that fence that me and Red were
Yeah,
like,
like.
how come
between
the
the
chain
pavilion
link
and the
stops
property
because
there.
the stockade and then
And
Well,
I'll
and
have
it's a
them
couple
look-
rocks.
yeah, I'll have them look at that. What they wanna know is, they can't, they can't find the stuff to replace it anymore. It's getting broke continuously because kids stand on it and jump. Why is that fence, I mean, I guess my.
So kids don't run out into the road because they're so close to the road and the playground.
Can we put rocks there then?
We put that up
I
probably
would
back in the
suggest
90s.
something, cause I also think it's both. The fence is there to also keep cars from running into the playground. So.
I think we
if
need to look into
remove
that.
the Fence, I would suggest until we get another type of barrier to protect the playground up. We leave the posts.
Yeah.
Until we.
I'd leave that
Rocks
fence
in the
up, even them ones that are just sagging.
Surprised
For
we
now.
can't
I
find
think
it.
it's more for the pavilion, not the playground. Playground got its own fence.
Yeah, but a car can drive right through a chain.
But for
fence.
kids, they're.
If a car's gonna drive through it, they're gonna do the wooden
What is
fence
that kind of stuff?
and the other fence,
Yeah.
doesn't make a difference.
It'll slow it down.
Here's
That's
my
where the
comment.
pavilion is the big-
You could put 3 rocks and it would very nice aesthetically pleasing rocks and it would do the same exact thing.
Could we put cable or something through the posts?
I mean, what they're doing is people stand on them and then they
They're all
split.
dry rotted. They've been
Yeah.
there since the
Yeah.
The
nineties.
posts are probably dry rotted too.
Yeah, so I mean, they're just trying, and they literally came to me because they wanna make it look nice.
Why don't they come up with a couple ideas
Ask them,
and,
okay.
and what they think, and maybe talk to Matt.
Yeah.
Do they have any places willing to donate rock?
Well, let me see what I can do.
Cause I know that when they ripped Alton Bridge down, there was a lot of those rocks got put over at Riverview, a couple got put down at the park. So
Yes.
if they could find a place like that,
I will see
they
what
would
I
be
can do.
donating big rocks.
There might still be a pile of them
Mhm.
That would be something to look into.
at the corner of the school property there.
Yeah,
That'd be good. 'Cause like she said, we only need 3.
That's a good inexpensive idea. I also wanna remind everyone, we have some money to put into Riverbank Park, anytime through next year to make it ADA accessible, so. We may just wanna leave that if we can find something that uses that grant money to make it whatever we want.
and I will make sure, like I said, I will talk to them. They were the ones who brought it up to me that, so then I drove by and I was kind of like.
Right.
Yeah, they've been screwed together and
they-
yeah, I've seen the repairs.
And I
for
think,
years.
I think part of the problem is, replacing them, fences with dry rot, everything else,
Yeah,
so.
let them come up with a couple suggestions. Maybe we can get a hold of Matt.
Yeah.
And, see if he has any suggestions.
Not a problem.
Go from there.
Thank you, that's it.
Thank you. Next up, Finance Committee, Dr. Carpenter.
Okay, well, it says Finance Committee update, and basically, the update is that I had to cancel my meeting yesterday due to the loss of a dear friend. Her memorial was at the exact same time as my meeting. And I checked it out with Stephanie, who does a lot of our finance work, and she was good with it. So basically, what's gonna be coming up with the Finance Committee is ongoing contract discussions and, ongoing work, obviously, on the budget. So that's what we'll be doing as time goes forward. Meeting in September will be at the normal time, as far as I know, as long as nobody else needs to have a memorial service on, the 4th Monday, 25th of September at 4 p.m. But I'm gonna be changing the meeting in October from the 4th Monday to the 5th Monday. And we'll be able to advertise that with something else sometime in September. So all the finance discussion that we need to have this evening has already been covered.
Thank you.
Sorry for your loss. Sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you.
Next up is Recreation Community Events, Mr. Craig.
Yeah, all I have is I want to thank Parks and Rec Committee and Lower Valley Athletic Foundation for the great battle in the borough. We had almost 300 tickets sold, almost 400 people in attendance, counting the staff and the first responders and such.
It was a nice night.
It was.
They did a great job. That's it?
That's all I have.
Public safety, Mrs. Provenza.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. We do have a ordinance here and going to need to be signed, sealed, and delivered.
Here, what you have at this moment in time is the first rough draft of the ordinance. You will, I will send it to you via email where you'll be able to see highlights and stuff like that. But it shows, we talked about raising fees. So it shows that, parking tickets go to 10, 75 for handicap parking, $50 for parking in front of a fire hydrant, $25 for, if you park in front of or across from a driveway. And, 20, we need to choose, 25 or 15 if you park in a crosswalk.
25.
25.
Okay, and then last, but, we will, we do need, and we will ask Craig to add a piece in there that, section on changes of fines can be made by resolution of council, so we don't have to redo this ordinance.
Great.
If you could please read this over, my goal is, if you see anything, let me know. Is I'd like to motion to have it advertised.
So, yeah, I just am wondering, it's hard for me to track what's what. I mean, I know you just read it out, but is there any way to have like a little chart or something that says what we've been charging and what we're planning on charging? And does this cover everything that they write a ticket for?
This covers everything that we have an ordinance for,
Well, it's not very many things.
because a lot of things then become,
Violations or.
different types of violations.
And are we changing any of
That would be,
those?
that's state, that's,
That's state
That's state.
magistrate stuff, we can't touch those.
Well, I can't,
I will see what I can get to
this is
you.
hard for me to try to figure out
I will,
what we're changing from what to what.
I will send you what you decided on a few months ago. I'll resend it out so everybody has it. And then again, if you could look at the ordinance and we can go from there.
I think a current and new rate might be a good idea.
I can, well, I'll send you that, yeah.
She has that already.
I gave that out quite a while ago.
In our committee meetings, she had, this is what. we're
Well, I
proposing,
did, yeah,
this is
but I
what
didn't
it
get that, because I'm not on the
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah.
So
We will get it out.
A and B is the same 244-27. I don't know, I'm just a little,
well, that's what she said. Take it home and read up on it and see what,
yeah,
And
but I don't know what the old one said.
then
is. That's
we
online.
we have code 360. I got it off of E code 360. You can take it off of E code. That's what I ended up having to do and read it.
Or you could ask one of the police officers for a slang parking ticket. and
But
that's
I will
stuff
make sure I get to
too.
the code rates, but the old ordinance, I just literally looked at E code 360.
Well, this is a draft. That,
right.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
okay.
Is that it, Mrs. Provenza?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Communications, Mr. Floda?
We are still currently working on the new digital meeting policy. I have no updates on that at this time. Our committee just met last week and the only other thing that I do want to mention is that next business meeting, which will be September 13th. Wow. Or 12th, I'm sorry. The Lower Valley Athletic Foundation will be distributing donation checks to the Verona Volunteer Fire Department, Lower Valley Ambulance Service, and making a deposit towards the 2024 Verona Police Biker.
Very nice. Thank
That's
you.
all I have.
Thank you. Next up, infrastructure and asset management, Ms. Redzak Showalter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, due to personal reasons, I also ended up canceling this month, but we are still working on a few things offline. You may remember our draft paving policy, hoping to revisit that, which will be ahead of the next workshop meeting. We are also working on our wish list, that we will have in line with Stephanie's request for the upcoming budget talks. I think that's it. I also wanted to mention, community garden update. It is coming along this season. The next gathering will be on Thursday for anyone who'd like to plant some greens. I think I forwarded some emails. There were some issues this year related to infrastructure, just kids getting into the hose in which to water things. It's been proposed, perhaps we should consider a lock. Just wanted to mention that. Are there any questions on community garden or?
There were supposed to be
infrastructure for
signs posted, we talked about back in May. And I don't
Did
see
not
them.
happen. Did not.
Okay, maybe next year? Early?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's just really summer, kids being off from school, so I'm not sure how successful summer have been, but
I think that's what Jason had suggested.
We
He
will
did.
probably, Trish, to be honest with you, we're just gonna have, I think we're gonna have to lock all of them. We're having issues with all of them,
All of them what?
all the spouts being turned, the water being played
oh,
with.
right,
Oh,
right.
So we're gonna have to deal with all of those. Railroad Park got left on one weekend for like 6 hours.
Not here.
Oh, wow.
So we're just gonna have to lock them down.
well, we
Yeah, I
could
saw
make
kids
some
walking
kind of
the grass
combo
on
lock,
it.
then people
that
will
was
get to know.
In the
get
drought,
around the
I was
house
watering grass.
Instead of worrying
No.
about a key,
Kind of the same people, yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
We're-
Trish,
we'll stay in touch on that.
do you
Thanks.
have any update or any information on the shade structure? I know that that was like the big thing. this year.
It was a big thing, and I don't think it's happening. Seems like a lot of infrastructure stuff is just taking longer. I know that we did finally get the design back from the same designer who did the shed, but no update. I can check on that.
Okay, I was just,
Now, since this is the second year and final year for Grow Pittsburgh, will they still cover that if it doesn't get done this year because of them?
My understanding is yes, if
Okay.
it's not out of our hand, but
yeah, that was my next question.
yeah.
Like, I don't wanna miss out on grant money because they got busy. That's not our problem, so.
No, right.
That's it.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Community development, Mr. Long.
Yes, the only thing I had, we had a steward meeting the other week about this new code enforcement officer that Stephanie and I interviewed, sat down with him, whatever, he's we're looking at the part-time. He is actually the president of Lenore Valley Ambulance. He is a code enforcement officer in Harmerville. He was Springdale, right?
Springdale Townships, and I've heard nothing but rave reviews.
Yes, I actually, I've talked to a lot of people about him, and he's been getting a lot of good reviews. He has all the compliances that we need for a code enforcement officer, and I think we're gonna, vote on it later on this evening.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
The nice thing about this is, being part-time. It takes a huge lump out of our budget to help with other items that we may have to do. And, looking at the work, now having a code enforcement officer who's here once a week. We've noticed that it's not as, a lot of it's waiting, But, like First Street.
Sit back and wait.
We're waiting. The company that owned those trees that were supposed to be cut, the company thought they had hired somebody who cut them. We had to send them pictures on Monday and say, well, they didn't because they're not here.
The duplex.
Yes, so, hopefully they were supposed to respond by the end of this
If
week.
not, just have our guys go up and cut it and fill them.
Yeah, I just have to, I'm doing.
I mean,
this-
cause that's terrible for the
Yeah.
kids to be.
Yeah, and we are, like Brett, I said.
Just throw it on their front yard.
Yeah.
Let
we're
them
just
deal with
waiting
that.
Right now, we were supposed to have an answer by Thursday. They, honest in there, wrote back to us and said they had taken care of it. And so when the code enforcement officer went to check it, he went, no, you haven't. So he sent them pictures, so they are aware of it. So he was gonna come back and check. So he was waiting for a response for
If
them.
it's too long, we should send our guys and,
Yeah, and I will, I just want I wanna talk to Rich first.
cause that's a safety issue, cause if people walking over to that school, now they gotta go out onto the street. We can't have that.
Yeah, you
This
can't
can't
see
go much
cars.
longer.
Yeah,
If you're-
yeah, no, and I agree, and like I said, we actually should have been done before school started, was how the whole thing was gonna work out, but I guess since they're.
Well, if you remember last year, I think Danny Showalter went over and he cut that back last year.
So, and
At one time.
the guys are on go, and they know that it will probably be next week if nothing happens, but I at least. They have 30 days to vacate a violation, no matter what type of violation it is, it's 30 days. So, we're working on it.
I understand that.
Yeah, and
I
doing the
understand.
best we can within the laws that we have to follow.
Well, like I said,
Stephanie,
cut it and throw it in their front yard.
Well, if we cut it, we'll throw it away.
Stephanie and Tim, back to your original point.
Yeah.
If I'm understanding correctly, it sounds like we may want to see if this part-timer who's well respected perhaps meets our needs
Yeah.
in the way we anticipated a full-time person would.
Yeah,
Okay, but if it doesn't, we could revisit the full-time.
yeah, and the more I look at this, the more I can say, and the pushback I received for a full-time, having a full-time code enforcement officer. I'm hoping this works, because there is a lot of pushback from a lot of people about a full-time code enforcement officer. And what exactly will he do all day?
Yeah, it was under my understanding, we were having to add things to the job description to make it 40 hours of work for a full-time officer. So we were, and if, I don't wanna pay anybody just to be sitting
Right.
around.
At the very beginning, he might have a lot of
He'll have a lot of
stuff
stuff to do,
but
but
then
then
once he gets it
he's
yeah.
just sitting on his hands.
And yeah, and one of the things
She.
we are
But-
learning too is
What?
things are getting fixed. But maybe the neighbor doesn't like the way it got fixed, but it's still fixed
Right.
to what code considers. So there's a lot of working on that. The gentleman we are talking to is very proactive. He will drive the neighborhoods. He will deal with all of that. Please, though, we remind everybody, because we hear this all the time, code enforcement is not allowed to go on somebody's property. They cannot look over a fence and take a picture. They cannot do any of that, because if it goes to court, the court will throw it out.
They ride by and see someone's yards, I'm
Yes,
asking.
they can, that's
Right.
fine.
That's exactly
But
right.
they
Yeah, what
see-
they can see from the street.
Yeah, as long as they can see, but that's one of the people's biggest arguments is why they are not allowed. They are not police officers. And even police officers aren't really allowed to just go on your property because the moon hits them. Same concept.
Was it discussed what we're paying them or any benefits go along
There-
with this or?
There would be mileage, whatever the federal rate, which
I think it's
65
60
cents.
cents or something.
yeah, and then, we discussed, what did we discuss? 20?
Yeah.
And we discussed $20 an hour. So, we're looking at if he worked,
Are we allowed to discuss
No,
wages at a meeting?
no, I'm just saying, that's what we discussed. We can,
oh, we're not supposed to share that.
we shouldn't have, but I didn't think about it until. It's kind of like the comment from the last meeting.
Well, I mean, we just discussed it, it was in the budget, so.
Yeah, well, and, you know,
That doesn't mean that's what they're agreed to. We're-
but he would get mileage.
Okay,
So before we go to the action items, I had a math question.
10.
The Center Avenue
42.
storm sewer, if you add the grant dollars in the borough funds, it's $24,000 short of the 6355.
Those are the numbers Matt gave me, I can check.
I mean, I don't think we're not motioning on that tonight.
We
But
already motioned on
These
that.
are done.
That months ago.
That was done months ago.
there were,
The math, yeah, the math might be wrong in the grant. I can actually, I think.
we might have got more grant dollars than what he has in there or something,
Yeah.
because yeah, it's 24,055 short.
Okay. I was looking at the grant, so I may,
There may be a
Well, there's
mistype.
two oh, that's upcoming. I'm sorry.
yeah, I will get it to you. I mean, it,
This might be a typo or something.
yeah.
Possibly.
You can only look at so many times before.
Yeah, and none of those numbers are gonna be those numbers until the work
Right.
is done. It could be under budget, could be over budget, so that's all just.
No, but not off by $24,000.
It could definitely be off by 20.
I don't think that's what it meant.
63,555 with $23,348 being CDBG funds and 16,152 being committed local match. So I will have to talk to Matt.
Yeah, because those two numbers totaled 39,500.
I just know, that was approved.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Stephanie will look into that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna go to action items. First, I need a motion to accept the bid from Tresco Paving Corporation in the amount of $173,214.50 for the three alleys that are reconstruction.
Motion, I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ms. Red Showalter, second by Mr. Floda. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Passed. Next, I need a motion to accept a bid from Nagy Construction and Asphalt in the amount of $96,250 for paving Center Avenue. First by Mr. Long, second by Mr. Craig. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Next, we need a motion to advertise the sale of the 2012 F-550 service truck.
I'll make,
Motion by
I'll
Mrs.
second.
Provenza, second by Dr. Carpenter. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Passed. Next, I need a motion to approve the hiring of a part-time code enforcement officer.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mrs. Provenza, second by Mr. Floda. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Announcements and information. Newsletter, Mrs. Provenza?
Yes, sir. Newsletter should be in your mailbox by now. And, if not, in the next day or so. Next edition is due Wednesday, November 1st, and that's going to cover December, January, and February. And this will be the holiday issue with a number of, items going on and celebrations. I would like to get these, in as soon as possible. And articles can be sent to Donald Wharf at VeronaNewsroom@gmail.com or call him at 412-828-3607. And for ads, I can be reached at 412-828-7726. Chamber of Commerce, next meeting is going to be held Tuesday, September 19th, 7 PM here in the Borough Building. And Chamber of Commerce is looking for sponsors for the Jolly Jamboree. And the new date for the car cruise is Saturday, October the 7th. There will be a 50-50 raffle, music, and food truck. And the diaper drive is still on until Saturday, October 21st. And donated diapers can be dropped off at Eda's Doggy Daycare or at the Boulevard. And don't forget the farmer's market every Thursday from 2 to 7 PM. And the events also are being in the motion of planning for Halloween. Historical Society meetings are back from summer vacation now, and the next meeting is going to be on Thursday, September 21 at 7 p.m. Here in the Borough Building. The speaker will be Dick Williams, and his topic will be how Oakmont, Edgewater got its name. And all are welcome, no charge. It's a great meeting, a lot of information. Twin Barrow Ministries Community Dinner is tomorrow from 4:30 to 6:30 at the Verona Methodist Church. And it will be hosted by our Borough Council. And the hall is also open now for dining inside the building. And the ALOM, the final reminder I've been asked to announce is the annual clay shoot, which is going to be on Friday, September the 8th. And it will be at Promised Land Sporting Clays in Freeport, PA. Tickets, 4 tickets, you can call 412-261-2521. And seminars will be starting up in different functions, and I will have information on that, probably starting with the next meeting. In closing, if you have any questions or comments, I'll be glad to take them. And if not, this concludes my reports, and I thank you. And also, I have just a couple other things here. Movies in the park is going to be Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back Again, and it's going to be Friday, September the 8th at Railroad Park, starting at dusk. And the Verona Community Picnic is going to be Saturday, September the 23rd at Cribbs Field from 1 to 5 p.m. And that concludes it all. And I thank you.
Hey, I have a question about the dinner. Are we all set? We have all the food? and
Yes, I was gonna tell everybody that the menu is breaded chicken fingers, Red's famous macaroni and cheese, baked beans, and a brownie for dessert.
What time do we need?
Maybe make that sound.
About 4.
Know what we're in for?
I mean, she asked me to be there 3:45, but I'm delivering the chicken, so.
Okay, I'll try.
You
I
can
just-
be out, someone will be there at 3:45.
Okay, well, I'm just making sure, cause I'm bringing Nathan, cause
Oh, she'll put me to work. Bring
he
it.
needs
bring it to
volunteer
me.
hours.
Just so council knows, me and Vince went up today, made some brownies, they're up at the church already. And me and Mikey will be making all the chicken fingers at the village inn, and Vince will be picking up the quarters.
Thank you.
And Trish is making the beans. Like I said, Red's making the mac and cheese.
If anybody needs help, give me a call.
And we'll make Nathan do all the serving and running around.
Did we-
Show's good at putting kids to work.
Did we, I didn't know, I don't remember. Did we announce a community picnic?
Yeah.
Car cruise?
in the Clark Cruise?
Yeah.
Okay. Stephanie, do we normally put the flags on the poles on the boulevard for Labor Day?
I would.
I'll have him put them up.
Can you make sure they get them up, please?
If we haven't in the past, I think we should.
We better.
They usually go up every.
Okay, I'll make sure, cause they'll go up. Well,
I know the fire department's putting the other ones out
I will have them
tomorrow,
up.
I think. Okay, any other, no other announcements? This time we'll hear comments from the public. On public related items, please approach a podium or raise your virtual hand. Clearly state your name and address and try to limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Yes,
Sign in
please.
first.
Please, if you would.
Nate, I'll just do it simultaneously. Nathan Stibble, 854 First Street. I wanna say I'm happy to hear that council is gonna work with some of the interested parties as far as getting the food truck ordinance kind of squared away. I think, I mean, generally, like, personally, it's not for nothing. I love having the food trucks here. I like having the options. There's not a lot of places to eat around town. And having that as an amenity here, I think is really valuable to the community. That said, I mean, let's see, we're a small borough, we're a small market. And we need to think about how we can stay competitive with some of the other places around. Sharpsburg, I mean, the city's its own beast. Like, we're never gonna we don't need a $135 permit application. And in fact, I would consider, talking with, again, the breweries, the farmers market, the events that bring in the food trucks to try to, reduce that fee as much as possible, try to outsource, that work so that they can take care of it, possibly eliminate it. Basically, we want to make ourselves as appealing to these businesses and to these amenities as we can. So yeah, that's, I guess, one way to look at it is in terms of, how can we regulate this more? And how can we make it more, we don't want to make it more restrictive. We just, think about how you can, make it more inviting and kind of open our arms to. Sure, absolutely. So, but yeah, that's all. Just thank you and I appreciate you.
Very good, thank you.
collaborating with us.
Thanks for your comments. Anybody else? Nobody virtual? I'll take that dreaded motion. Motion to adjourn by Mr. Long,
Second.
second by Mrs. Provenza. Any questions? All four.
No, you can't.
Against, pass. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight, your comments.
Turns out the door.